Okay, here we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, good. Welcome, everyone. I'm Leesie. I'm the director of the Church of Union, and I'm joined by some very special people today. We've got myself, we've got Laurentiu and Alexandra, Colby and Keely, Jason and Chrissy, Mara Ara, Soraya, and Kasey Kelly. So we're going to be talking about prophecy, the gift of prophecy that we received from our gurus and teachers, Jeff and Shaleia. And three of us have received a personal prophecy as a like an experience that we received from our gurus. It was a very big blessing, but it also is to share with the world because all three of our personal prophecies were extremely accurate. We also are going to talk about the 10 stages of the Ascension prophecy that Jeff and Shaleia posted. Jeff posted here in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group. So if you want to, after this discussion or during the discussion, scroll and read that. We're going to be talking about it. And so you're invited to join in the conversation too. Just go into the comments and type a comment and we'll read it and discuss. But I really wanted to start out first just by saying thank you for being here. You're free and safe to ask questions. And you're really encouraged to independently investigate the truth of spirituality that you're receiving tonight. Let's start off. Let's talk about the personal prophecies. I want to start off with Laurentiu and Alexandra. And just kind of, can you talk about what were some of the things that Jeff and Shaleia prophesied for you? And how did you feel?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Yeah, we can talk about that. It was a really special moment because, as Jeff said, he kind of let us know when he made it, when he made the prophecies, but he didn't give it to us. He was like, oh no, he backed down, he had like that. He explained in the polls very well about that. Then we kind of like, okay, we're going to see. We didn't expect anything of it right back. And then we received them. And for me personally, I read them first and I read the first 2 points and I was like, oh my God, how is this real right now? I was like kind of shook,
Mm-hmm.
And
even if you had first, like when she read through them, I was like, this doesn't seem like 100%. This seems like,
well, that's kind of how we look at it. We kind of made like a mind analysis on it afterwards. But the first feeling was like, oh my God, this is exact, But then we kind of were like, okay, like, let's look at it. Is it really exact? Is it really like that? And we kind of looked at it in a mind way, I could say. And with the mind's eye, you could say like, yeah, but this is not really exact. This wasn't how it was. This wasn't how... And yeah, but afterwards we looked into it deeper, and we healed through some upsets because obviously we had like some upsets in even receiving this gift in the first place. And we were like, yeah, this is true. Because, so for example, the first point was about how much we earn. And that was like very surprisingly came true exactly that month, like that very day. I think like we made our finances for the previous month and we were like, oh my God, this is this is true, right?
Yeah, and like it was surprising, like for us, and like when we spoke with Jeff, for him as well, in a way.
Yeah, it was like a surprise for everybody, but it was true.
Yeah.
Another point that was like very striking for us, because we haven't really talked about it with anybody, was about like having home issues, neighbor issues. I think like just our coaches, Colby and Keely, knew like at some point we had like some issues, right? But and he said about that, like we're experiencing home, neighbor, and landlord issues, and we were like, oh my God, this is
all of them. They
were like so true in our heart, right? And as we went through each and every one of them, in our heart, all of them felt very true for us.
I mean,
right?
like even like he said about like putting down a video game that we love and picking up a different one, and that's something that actually happened.
Yeah.
In a way, something like as like that, something simple like that
Yeah.
was actually accurate, because we were playing a video game, and at some point we were like, okay, we don't feel this, and let's switch to this one.
Yeah.
Because we basically, it was described like we're putting down a game so we can play another one that we love more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly like how it happened, and it's so interesting when you look at it. And there was even a point about
I think like what you're trying to say here is like there were like aspects of our prophecy that were physical. For example, having landlord issues. This is kind of like an aspect of the physical reality, but there were also things that were related to our inner work. So for example, he prophesied 1 week kind of like before we decided to marry that we will have like an upset, something like that, like a very kind of chakra shaking upset, through Laurentiu. And that was kind of like what we went through in order for us to decide to get married within the Church of Unity. It was like a big healing as well.
Yeah,
right? So,
because even if we chose to do it, we still seen that we had an upset, and we like...
Yeah, that we had to go through, right? And I really love how some of these aspects of the prophecy happened, like all of them came true, but not in the way that we expected, right? I think like all of us, when we look at the prophecy, we're like, okay, now lava is going to fall from the sky. Well, maybe that's not going to happen. I know like Jeff didn't say that in the prophecy, but just in general, like as an example, what's the meaning of that, So for example, like our last parts of the prophecy were about going to boot camp, right? So we have Daniel and Diana here who are in boot camp, right? So they are in boot camp and not us. And there were like a time there where it was like, we wanted to go to boot camp. We were ready to go, but then kind of like...
The things with COVID happened, and we're like, okay, borders closed, things stopped, and we couldn't move. But even if like when Jeff prophesied about those things about boot camp and us, all those things were more like we make the decision to go there. We made the
decision to go to boot camp. So it was just like an internal process that he was describing in order for us to arrive at boot camp, which very much happened and is still happening, right? So
I mean, the decision itself, because when we look at first at it, we're like, oh, like we're not at boot camp, so therefore it's not true. But he didn't say arrive there or do something like that. He said like make the decision.
Yeah.
So when you look very closely at it, it's like, yeah, we actually went through these things, we chose these things, and it was very accurate. We just had to be very open and look careful at the words that were used and not
so we
get
had
attached.
To really be careful at the wording and what was the meaning of the words, not just like, because you could say, take the decision to go to boot camp, but we're not in Michigan right now. So you could look at it with that critical eye and be like, oh, it's not true. But, when we looked at it like with our hearts, it was like, we took that decision. We did the steps necessary there. And from that point, it's very, very true. So I think this is with our personal prophecy.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so everything really did come true, and it's almost like there are moments where you made a vibrational choice in that moment, and that was, it's like the same thing as our harmonious twin flame union. It's already true, but there are certain places where you choose something, and that's when it's true at that moment. But it's very cool how things have unfolded for you. Very, very cool. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
I
Colby and Keely, what did you receive, and how did that feel?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hello.
it was a very deep gift to receive this prophecy from Jeff. We really learned a lot about our future that was really awesome and cool. And it was one of those things where it was such a deep gift that we really had to take time to process what was really being given.
Yeah, it was huge. Like, I started crying when I read it, which might not be a surprise, but yeah, it really touched me because I felt like a lot of relief, like actually for some of the like energetic things being acknowledged. Because, you know, like you make these choices within you, but like sometimes you maybe expect it to be like seen immediately, like on the outside, but there's no separation. So like we made a lot of new choices that were maybe not seen immediately, but we could feel them, and Jeff picked up on that and actually like prophesized that.
Right. Yeah, it might not be manifested directly in your reality, but it has occurred in your consciousness, and it's in the process of being manifested. And there might just be a couple more things to clear out there, but it's still like a very deep process that's been initiated that Jeff is speaking to. So yeah, we just continue to take that reality deeper into our beings. And as we continue to look through the prophecy, it was like, wow, holy crap, there is a lot here, and everything is totally accurate.
Yeah, like it all happened, but some of this stuff we weren't aware of.
Right.
So we had to kind of, like, we were aware that we had felt it, but we weren't like totally aware of like what that meant, like what that choice and what that feeling meant. And like some of this stuff was like around our custody case, and we'll get to share like more about that specific thing, like once we can kind of share about that to the public. But yeah, like a lot of this stuff was really relieving, and some of the like symptoms of like upheaval from these choices happened, but weren't even really aware of like why the upheaval was happening. We're like, we know we're healing, but like what was it that caused that upheaval? And so Jeff actually prophesized like very specific like upheaval symptoms of Colby that actually happened. And yeah, he got sick.
Yeah, you know, it was a very big like part of our journey, and we didn't really understand what was going on at the time. And so the prophecy, which was made I think 3 months prior to when we received it, was very healing for us, because we were able to understand to a much deeper degree, or actually even like understand it to begin with, this really deep healing that we had experienced. And we were able to release a lot of judgment towards ourselves for not having manifested this reality yet. And
or so we thought. Like it was manifested. We just weren't aware of it because we couldn't like see it like with our eyes, but it was already, the choice had already been made. And so that like further proved that all you have is the now. You don't have a future, you don't have a past. Like you make a choice and it's done. It happens. And like later on, after this was given to us, we actually saw some of these things like actually manifest like in front of our eyes that had already been chosen, but just kind of, I don't know, made reality, or like in a deeper reality. But there was also some things that were like just so crazy. Like one of them was Keely buys a new dress on June 8th. I'm reading it right now. And at first I was like, no, didn't buy a dress. Because I was thinking it was for myself, but I actually bought Evelyn a dress like right around that same time period. And yeah, so like something like that. And then Colby actually, it was prophesied that Colby got a new pair of shoes on the same time. And he did actually get a new pair of shoes, just not like on the exact date, but like right around that same time. There was like a lot of like returning and going back and forth with the company to try to get like the best size. So it was like in that time frame.
I had gotten 4 pairs of shoes that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, like we really loved receiving it. Like we also just appreciated like the deeper awareness of ourselves and like the way the universe works and how we're like everything that we're doing has an effect, right? All of the feelings, all the thoughts, like we really are like co-creating with God. And you can very clearly see that through the prophecy that Jeff gave us.
Yeah, it really helped me understand that healing your relationship with God is not the super linear, predictable path that you're going down. It's a more open-ended relationship, and it's safe to surrender your expectations and let God teach you what you're going through in this particular time of your journey, and to really just surrender to his love in this particular aspect each time you're questioning what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so fluid, and that's what we learned is like at just first glance, it didn't seem like everything was true, but when we actually felt into it, we realized, yeah, this all happened, and we had to just release our like separation consciousness, like our own expectations of what we thought it meant, right? So yeah, feels really good, and we're very honored to have received it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Colby and Keely. That was, yeah, it was really powerful, especially what you commented at the end about it being a deeper relationship with God, and what you receive spiritually from that. It's like, a lot of people would love to have a prophecy that's read for them, and a lot of people on the twin flame journey try to predict, through tarot cards and things like that, what will happen in their twin flame journey, but not that is using prophecy in a manner that isn't to receive from a spiritual gift. It's rather to misinterpret the use of prophecy. And I just really enjoyed both you and Laurentiu and Alexandra's comments on that. And I wanted to share a little bit about my prophecy that Josh and I were given. But also something that Jeff shared. He made these prophecies 3 months before giving them to us. So everything had already happened. So it was like April 1st, because July 1st was the date when they were released to us. And so one thing he noted was that he's going to list significant events scheduled to happen as a result of your karma and other metaphysical laws which are already completed. My understanding is there's little you could do to change what has already been finished, but you're welcome to live your life as you see fit. So there's always choice, right? But sometimes the events you can't change, but there's choice in how you receive them and feel, and the lessons that they give you. So here's a few things. Jeff and Shaleia predicted that Josh and I find deeper love through divine dish. And thank you, Jason and Chrissy and Jeff and Shaleia, for divine dish, because that came true. One of the things that they mentioned, more intimacy as a result because of the support. So plug for divine dish, but yes. And that was also followed by another prophecy that as I continued my life purpose in the church, I realized, and Jeff wrote, March 22nd, about March 22nd, I would realize that I could work in the church to resolve anything with my life purpose work or with my twin flame work, and it was the same, the one and the same. The journey was one and the same, or I could do both. And I kind of did realize that around March 22nd. That was after I had really committed very deeply to this as my life purpose. So I did have a realization, although it was one of those things, it's like, I didn't journal about it. Like on March 22nd, I realized, like, in hindsight, I saw that, you know. This is a really cool one. Leesie and Josh decide to stay in their home and renew their lease. This creates an actual upgrade in their relationship with their home and makes them feel even more relaxed in it. That happened. I thought we would move out of this apartment. Nope. We stayed here and I got an office that I work in at my job. So that was a really cool one. Here's a really cool one. I think this is for people that I work with. Leesie earns 3 new clients in one single day in May. That's true. One of them she will bring all the way into harmonious twin flame union after July. Very cool. Like, there's a few contenders there. But yeah, that's pretty neat. I feel that. But yes, that happened. I started producing more YouTube videos, and as a result, I connected with more people, and I was able to extend the work. This is really specific stuff, guys. Like, I had never, I was baffled in a good way. I know Jeff and Shaleia. I trust them with my whole heart, right? Like, more than anyone that I've ever trusted, you know, prior to doing my inner work, and then getting to know them through their school and through working, you know, with them. I knew that they would never write, like, they could never have known this stuff. Like, even you know, if they had, like, somehow not been honest and done it afterwards, they could never have known this. I didn't share this stuff with people, right? Like, so this is amazing, but I trust them, and they definitely did write this 3 months before all these events took place. Josh buys an acoustic guitar on May 8th. This comes through a relationship with a friend. Actually, it was his biological brother, but technically speaking, like, that's, you know, not soul family, so it's a friend, right? Another one, Josh finds a new way to make money. Although a small opportunity, he finds a lot of joy in making more money on the side. Yes, he started doing card readings, so he really, really loves it. A couple ones that are interesting. So this is similar to what Colby and Keely and Laurentiu and Alexandra experienced. It says Leesie loses 10 pounds through Divine Dish. The choice was made. What's happening right now is that I'm healing starvation, and so my body is kind of healing that so that I can actually, you know, in the process of losing that weight in a sustainable, loving way, and healing all this consciousness around, you know, starvation and diets and being mean to my body. And so through Divine Dish, I'm learning how to really love my body. So all of these things came true. There's a few more, but those are the ones that I felt like most astounded by. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because the fact that these individual prophecies were so accurate, it means a lot. You know, I recognize who Jeff and Shaleia are. I know that Colby and Keely and Laurentiu and Alexandra do, and the rest of us here do. But if, you know, those of you that need some kind of proof, like, there you go. God's like, here you go. But now let's talk about the 10 stages of the Ascension prophecy, which was very meaningful for everyone. If you look in the comments, oh yeah, Jeff had a comment. Thank you. Can we get a reaction? Let's see. What does everybody in the group feel about these individual prophecies before we move on? I apologize for missing that. So yeah, unmute yourselves if you would like to, and share how you feel about that, about these individual prophecies first.
I think it's really cool. I really thank you guys for all sharing your stories. This is such a unique and powerful like opportunity to have these prophecies, and yeah, it's really awesome to like hear about your experiences and all of that. So yeah, thank you for sharing it.
Hi. Yeah, I also think like it was really, I really appreciated sharing you providing examples of what you received, because they were very clear. And like we don't have to necessarily like read between the lines, so to speak, to ground and really appreciate and accept what has been presented to us with the phases of the Ascension. And I think that if you've reviewed it, you know, stage 1 and 2 are, you know, where we're at. I believe Jeff said that we were in stage 2. Yeah, and that's very clear. And I just really appreciated that will continue to be the case as you guys have presented to us and have proven with your personal prophecies. So yeah, it's very relieving to have that clarity. So thank you very much for sharing with us.
And we love Divine Dish plugs.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I love Divine Dish.
Yeah, I have to say, I really appreciate the Divine Dish. Sorry to throw it out there. Really thank you.
How did you feel about the individual prophecies and their accuracy? Oh, sorry. Did you want to share anything about the individual prophecies, Kasey?
Well, it's just resonates so much. You know, it's like all the things I learned, and I'm a seminary student at graduate school right now, and what theology taught us is the prophet, and they explained to us that canon, that prophet ends there, and I'm like, this doesn't sit well with me. I'm positive prophet goes on, and it's just one of those things where theology would say prophet ends there, like an end of a book of Revelation. And I also want to bring up about that part about preamble part and 10 phases of Ascension.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before you do, because I'd really like to hear what you have to say. Does anybody else want to comment on the individual ones? All right. Yeah. Well, I'm really curious what you were going to share about the preamble, Kasey.
Before I go on, what I find interesting about individual prophet is that it's narrow individual rather than, because 10 phases of Ascension prophet, it's more of a macro. It's like it's so expansive and bigger. So as for preamble part about the Satan versus Lucifer story, it resonates so much and it makes sense, because in my class, when we read the book of Job, now in the Bible translation, NIV, if you look closely on the NIV, it would say Satan and the replacement, who tested Job. And but when we go to earlier translation, actually we don't know for sure that is Satan. We don't know for sure that is Lucifer. It was actually later on, years around the King James Version, 1700s or 1800s, when they replaced that translation of Basri, which means problematic spirit, as Satan. And from there, it became a theme throughout the story that, and what resonates is it contributes separation. And I'm just pointing out how much it affirms right now, and I truly believe it will transfer to the mainstream right now. And second, I'm beginning to see more themes of twin flames into mainstream right now. And that's what comes up throughout today as I was thinking about this discussion and what I'm going to say. And that's, these things came up. All right, thanks.
Yeah, that was very, very enriching, Kasey, because you have that perspective going to seminary school on, how the separation consciousness kind of got a little tangled over time. And then, yeah, I really, really felt relief reading the preamble, like with, Lucifer having built the worlds as like a stage to ascend, and that there wasn't any separation there either. It was all part of God's big plan. So, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, before our next commenters, I wanted to read some of the comments that are being typed. Sydney writes, "What a blessing that our gurus are able to share these beautiful prophecies. It's a confirmation of the connection and beautiful trust." Abir writes, it more confirms how intimately connected we are with our gurus and how our lives and life purpose is all beautifully designed. Kanisha writes, "It feels amazing, just a deeper level of trust through this process." Yeah, definitely. It's a gift for sure. So
You muted yourself, Leesie.
thank you. Would anyone like to share about anything that came up as they read through the stages of the Ascension?
I know for me, one thing that just like stood out to me, and this is what I noticed like coming from a Christian background, like coming into this work, was like the biggest difference I noticed from Jeff and Shaleia in contrast with what I had experienced before was like Jeff and Shaleia's teaching is all about empowerment, and it's about claiming your power and partnering with God and co-creating. And so much of what I've heard about the end times from like a Christian perspective was very much like we're screwed and then Jesus is going to show up. You know what I mean? like we are not, we don't have power to choose, and we're basically like sitting ducks, like waiting in a really bad situation until something outside of us comes and rescues us. And so, yeah, like as I was reading it, I just felt this like very deep, like just gratitude and just this like call to like claim my power in the Ascension and my part in choosing my own healing. And it just like really stirred like a new level of like conviction about this work and the like overall purpose of it. And it was just really beautiful. And yeah, like I love this because this is like, it fills in so many gaps and it just makes so much sense. And yeah, it's just very empowering. It's very beautiful. And I just feel really grateful. Like as I was reading it, I was like, wow, like, this is like the most epic story ever that's taking place, and we're all a part of it, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Soraya. Like we all are a part of it, but there are certain people who consider themselves the tribe, and this group of people are, that kind of like the heralds and the stewards that usher this in, and I feel that that's us. I feel that that's us in, those who are in the unionist community, in the twin flame community, really sharing this teaching with others and helping people to ascend and wake up. I really like, how it's, I'm going to quote part of the stage 2. the tribe becomes known as holy, sacred, righteous, and compassionate. The tribe undergoes a significant transformation and opens a gateway to bring souls directly from heaven to earth. That's kind of cool. Does anybody want to speak to that?
It kind of made me think about the Lord's Prayer, how the Christian pray on earth as in heaven. And I'm like, people's Lord's prayers are going to be answered.
Yeah, it's not just a metaphor. Yeah.
I feel like, I think this was noted, Jeff had made the comment of somebody asking where we currently are. And where we currently are is like, I believe what he communicated was stage 2, in which we start like the process of, this is part of, the work with grace and bringing in golden children and really grounding that. And the new teaching is given to quickly assimilate a soul from heaven to earth. And that's beautiful. But the part right above that, like we kind of skipped a couple steps here. And like, I really want to make like stage 1 awareness and realizing that's what we have been doing. That's what we have been going through in regards to like choosing this teaching and living this life and calling in the awareness. And as we've continued to do so and we've continued to like heal, we've turned, I think this is what he says, this is the last like paragraph, is which we're still cleansing. It says, this hatred is the world's karma, its own thoughts of separation from its divinity. In brotherhood, the tribe and the old world work as one, together in perfect harmony, bringing in the new heaven and the new earth. A great cleansing occurs in all the world at this time. Rioting in the streets occurs. People are shut into houses in solitude and isolation to reset their thinking. A new era is being born. And that's sincerely what is occurring as we heal from COVID-19. We've taken time in our homes. There have been rioting in the streets with like the Black Lives Matter movement. Those things are all happening. And I think that it's beautiful to see that unfold and realize that this is the next step, is bringing in the children. And it just is amazing. And what a gift to have such clarity. And that's what a prophecy provides us, right? Is clarity on what's going on. And there was so much relief and healing in this entire story and prophecy that we received. And yeah, it just brings a lot of peace, and very humbled by the opportunity to be part of it. Yeah, and so I just think it's really juicy. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that piece a little bit too, because
thank you.
Yeah, I do feel that even at work, we're always like, this is the new normal. It's the new era. It's the new way of living. It's all new. We've been reset, so to speak, across like worldwide. And it's okay to honor that that's being born right now, and that's occurring.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that I appreciate you took us back to the first phase, because it almost feels like we're just at the dawn of the second, and it's very, very clear. Like I think it's really important that it's that we're talking about now, and that we're all, another thing that you mentioned in the quote that you cited, Kasey, is that the tribe and the old world are working together. There's not this idea of like V for vendetta, we're gonna burn the old world down to roll out the new world, and instead it's a peaceful, loving ascension process through love, through peace, through union, and just a gradual procession there. So thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to speak to the first or the second phases of the ascension? Things that you read that surprised you, or feelings that you have? And don't forget, if you're watching this live, you can comment, ask a question, or share something if you like.
I wanted to say that, yeah, I really wanted to say as well, like if Kasey wouldn't have said this about the first phase, I really wanted to say that as well, because it's exactly what's happening in the world. And I know it just brings so much peace and so much love knowing that we're on track. Like this is another thing that I feel like it gives us, like, hey, we're actually doing it. We're following this. Even if we didn't know before, which is the way, now we know that we are on the way. We are doing it. It's not like we're randomly going somewhere, but actually we're guided into a direction. That's what I really appreciate about this. And yeah, maybe going into the stage 2 a bit with what Chris said, like golden children. Like I really feel like that's the next thing as well here, and it's so beautiful knowing that we can move into this and really like us. I feel like, as you said, Leesie, we are the tribe. So I feel like we, as the tribe, we really embody that and we share it with the world. And even if the world starts to like, oh, I don't know if I want to trust you, the old world, like we keep going and we don't give up. And I really liked in the second stage how it says like the tribe continues to grow and thrive independently of the world, preparing the way. We kind of are doing this. We're not really separate, but we're still thriving. We're growing as a community and we're sharing this all over the place. And the next thing is like it begins to know itself as heaven kingdoms and acts accordingly. And that's what we're doing now. That's exactly kind of like the thing that I feel we're doing. But I feel there was something else in the first, I think in the first one on the second, let me see a bit, because I'm having it in front of me. I really want to share this about the old world, like how Jeff said about this.
Like it noted that the old world will come to look to it for solutions to its problems, right? Because what he noted before that, which was what you're alluding to, he builds on it in the second stage, was what they said was it will like its power comes from its revelation of truth, and it holds the seeds of the new earth. It will cultivate these seeds and give birth to a community who lives like a global tribe, independent from life on earth and still interconnected with it. So like that's what you're talking about. That's what life purpose is, and being independent in your purpose work, but still interconnected with Earth itself, so we can support and solve these problems, which ultimately the new world will do. And it says again, the old world will come to look to it for solutions to its problem, hesitant at first and immensely ashamed of its inability to have solved them itself. It will largely cut itself off from this tribe and attempt to crush it. All the powers from all the corners of the earth will wage a war upon the tiny tribe. Darkness will enshroud it for a time. When the world is satisfied, the tribe has been annihilated. It finds the tribe quietly continuing to shine, a flame in the darkness, unimpeded by the hatred it piled upon the tribe. And like I think that we've really moved through a lot of that with what's going on with the lawsuit and the haters, and that's that type of energy that we've moved through. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also,
I just want to say yes, thank you, Kasey, for that. That's exactly what I was looking for.
that also reminds me of MAP as well, of how this is every part of the branches of Jeff and Shaleia's teachings are the solution that everyone's looking for. And this foundation is being laid now, and there will be like a denial of it at first, but it is growing. It is being laid there. Well, let's move on to stage 3, the continued denial. Speaking of denial, I'll just read this because it's a short stage. While the tribe has earned its place as righteous leader of the planet, the world continues to resist its authority. But amidst this great denial, small, courageous groups begin to step forward into the light and have their lives transformed by the tribe. This transformation comes at great expense to those stepping forward to undertake it. A new network is born, multiplying the power of the tribe and creating many places all over the earth where they and their teaching are welcomed. The tribe becomes very mobile and experiences a great deal of expansion at this time. Feeling the power of their teaching, a great monument to God's glory is built, and all the tribe rejoices in celebration. So I'm feeling this sense of, well, now we're stepping into the future, because if we're starting, just finished stage 1 and stage 2, everything was pretty clear what was what. But now we're stepping into the future. So would anyone like to comment? Any feelings or thoughts?
When I read, I don't know if it will be true or not, but when I read a great monument to God's glory is built and the tribe rejoices in celebration, I just thought of our church. I just thought of like the Church of Union that we've really claimed and are moving towards. And it, regardless of what it is, that's what it feels like to me, like that really monumental moment that we'll have.
Brick and mortar
when our first church is, physically on the ground. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I actually about to say about what I remember about Daniel and Deanna's posted about the prophet, how Daniel was going to plant a church of union, and that just resonates so much, especially like Leesie pointed out about MAP and Divine Dish. It's just all put together, and it's going to branch more into hopefully mainstream, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing about the monument as well. And I think, as this is written, tribe is a good word that is used to describe who we are now, but the growth of this beautiful message is something that we can't even fathom yet. We don't know what our building will look like, but we do know that, that really feels like that's what it will be. And I was really fascinated by this new network. I wonder what that's going to be. I mean, we've got the internet, Facebook. What could that be? Just a big question. Very, very enticing.
The way that I took that was more media attention, more people who have power, maybe politicians, celebrities, things like that, would be more open to this work and potentially share it. And I think with the Vanity Fair article coming out, it's already starting to kind of show where we're heading, right? Because everybody reads Vanity Fair. I mean, a lot of people read Vanity Fair, so a lot of high-powered people will be seeing this work and spreading it. So that's the way I took it. Yeah.
I kind of got the feel from this one that this was a time where we're going to experience a lot of attention toward the work, just the teaching, whether it's through a certain medium or if it's through just having, more outlets and different ways that we express this teaching, we share this teaching, as students of it. But yeah, I just kind of feel like the theme and the feel of this is our voice gets louder, the teaching becomes more apparent and easy to find and accessible to people. And that it spreads, whether it's through word of mouth or through media outlets or, different things, through the internet in a new way or whatever that might be. But it just feels like this is a time where we start to kind of get noticed more and we're able to share the teaching in new ways.
Yeah, it's gonna keep growing, and I feel that too. Like we're gonna get noticed more. But then we've got stage 4, reluctant acceptance. Finally, with their monument built and their network secured, a robust transition from the old world to the new has begun. But the larger part of the world population remains unmoved. The world is still in terror. States are in great war. Climate change is accelerating, and humans have done little to change. They do not look to the new earth for solutions, only to their old one at their problems. This stage remains for a long time, a seeming eternity of a new balance struck. The tribe continues to assimilate millions into its ranks. Wow. Burgeoning and growing as a new global nation. Schools are opened and children from heaven pour in daily. Spiritual infrastructure explodes in joy and prosperity, and all in the new earth are prosperous and happy. Love abounds and peace is extensive and unstoppable. People return to the streets in the greatest numbers the world has ever seen. Change seems inevitable but hasn't happened yet. The new earth tribe begins to take a stand against the ways of the old earth. A great spiritual war begins with battles fought in heaven and on earth, but not in the flesh. The holy fervor with which this war is fought is unspeakable. This gives rise to the Antichrist, a figurehead of hatred, arrogance, and anger. He is the head of the great snake of injustice and is spoken about in many texts. He is the representative of all that is evil.
First of all, I want to say in this one that I like in order, like when it said like children from heaven pour in daily, like the only thing comes to me is that means a lot of harmonious unions. I feel like because it said like we're gonna be like millions within our tribe, like that's what I'm getting. There's gonna be a lot of us. At that point, there are gonna be so many harmonious unions. I mean, a lot of them. That's what I'm getting. I feel millions, as I said there, but I don't know how much. But it feels like it's already becoming so normal that harmonious union walk around the earth, and it's basically like everywhere you can see at least one, and schools for them. Like that's something that really like I enjoy. Like it's already like starting the new process of teaching the new way. It's already kind of accepted on earth, like having places where you could go and learn about this. And of course we have the church, but like that is going to be built, but having schools dedicated for this feels very awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, I want to respond to Deb's question. She's asking, do these stages overlap like with the phases of attaining HTFU as described in the book? I actually asked that question in the comments underneath the post, and the answer is no, it's sequential. Like these aren't like, they don't, you don't go back and forth between these stages. The world is going to go through these stages. So yeah. So what about that stage 4? Any other thoughts or feelings about that?
Well, it talks about the Antichrist, which lots of contrast is kind of the feel of this. Is like there's just a lot of contrast between what's happening with this work and the lives that changes and the lives that affects and all the harmonious unions, while at the same time, like the world will basically be getting like a very clear picture of the two choices before them. That's what it really feels like to me.
It also made me think about that part. Before that sin is a great spiritual war, begins with battles fought in heaven on earth, but not in flesh. It's just made me think about Book of Revelation and how in Christian cultures it's just like we need to revive Asheville, that kind of thing, revive and stuff, and it's like the whole idea is like, yeah, let's go into this war, but also the to whoever asked that question, these stages do not overlap. It's like you have to go to each one, but it's like some part of the population is like ready to go into that whole idea of a war. So that I have it's like, I don't know, I think I'm a little upset around that, and because I'm seeing it from the contrast perspective rather than what is exact in the prophet says and through Jeff and Shaleia's work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is, if you can identify the upset, what would it be? What is the thing that you're feeling?
It's really it's feeling angry because a war seems like a battle, but and I used to see it as a reason to, like, it's harmful.
Yeah, I feel a way to look at it is war is only perceived by the separation consciousness that is fighting and trying to control. You're not actually at war when you're choosing peace, even if the other on the outside you're experiencing war coming from the person who's trying and attempting to attack and control. So in a sense, yeah, you can be at war, but the person experiencing the war, the consciousness experiencing the war, is the one that's choosing war and choosing contention and hatred and anger and control. If you're choosing peace, you can be in the middle of a battlefield. You're in war technically, but you're in peace. And so that's what all of the tribe is going to be tasked with, and is going to be tested in choosing peace and choosing love and championing God through this process. And it's like fighting the war without fighting, in a sense. So you're safe because you're choosing God.
Thank you. That makes sense.
We are very close to the top of our hour, and we've gone through the first 4 of the 10 phases of the Ascension. So I'd like to honor the group's time and just ask you, would you like to continue, or shall we have a sequel with others that might like to discuss, or members of this group that might like to discuss the next phases of the Ascension? Let's hear from the group what feels best.
We have to go, but we'd be down for a sequel for sure.
Or if you can, we'll watch it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Sequel sounds good.
I'm feeling, what'd you say?
Sequel sounds good for me as well.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too, because it's just so juicy, and I don't feel like it would do it justice to just kind of glaze over the rest of them. Yeah, so sequel. Perfect. Yay. So members of this group might be present, and maybe a couple other people from those who are watching or those who are interested. So you can reach out to me, send me a message if you want to be a part of the dialogue live. Of course, you're always live if you're commenting. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Really appreciate this. This is so unique and special. I'm very blessed to be here with you. I know you're feeling that too. I'd like to see if anyone else would like to share before we close.
Oh, I had something to say. I just, maybe it was more at the beginning, but I'm just really grateful for everything that has been prophesized. It's like something that I was envisioning for forever, and that I stayed focused on the vision amidst like the weirdest situations that I and then to see the prophecy, or to hear the prophecy being revealed, it's like, okay, yeah, this is good. I'm really grateful, and yeah, it's safe to trust God and to keep going with God, and yeah, I'm just so grateful. Thank you, Jeff and Shaleia, and everybody, and God, of course.
Thank you, Mara. All right, everybody, sequel time next. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.